that, look, African leaders are always enthusiastic. When they invite them to Paris, they are going. French-Africa cooperation talks. When they invite them to China, FOCAC, they say, oh, they are going to FOCAC. Those people too should come here. Yeah. We shouldn't, our leaders, 54 of them, are going to China. When will China come and hold FOCAC, which is beginning on September 1, here in Africa? So there should be mutual, benefit in terms of all of this, not China being the superior part. But of course, that this will not be something that is of interest to the West. So China is entering Africa, Japan is entering Africa. Yes. Diplomacy can solve the gray areas. Definitely. The more important part is, intelligence and, diligence.
Very salient.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, first of all, you see, a long time ago, Africans have been complaining about this. I don't know why our leaders are so adamant at this. Why is it that anytime France Africans are going to meet, 54 presidents will leave Africa just to go and see one man, the French president. Now, the same thing with China. Tinubu has departed to China. They said he's going for business summit to sign agreement for business. And some persons were asking, some of the agreements with Nigeria signed with China for railway cooperation is about to escalate again. There is a problem coming already because Nigeria is not meeting up to the demands. They are not meeting up to the loans agreement and so on and so forth. Now, our presidential jet has been seized. Our properties have been seized in Canada, America, in London, and also in France because of Ogun State agreement with China. Everything China. China is already taking Nigeria. What is going on? And Tinubu is also departing, going there. And some of the things he's going to do is to beg the China president for them to release the seized properties, that they are not the one who's supposed to pay for the seized properties or for the, damages that Ogun State is supposed to pay the China firm and so on and so forth. And he is also going to sign another agreement for China to also come Nigeria to do business. But all these things they are doing, how is it benefiting the poor masses? How is it benefiting Africa?
See in detail what he's going to China to do. It's a state visit, and he'll be hopefully meeting President Xi Jinping. But one thing I'd like to, so he's talked about all the things he'd be doing. Of course, until he goes, we'll first of all analyze his entourage, the people who he's going with, how relevant they are to the conversations, what kind of deals they are signing. Recall, following that trade deal with China, which was seen to be flawed as it favored China more than Nigeria, we said, let's have a closer look at the kind of MOUs that we sign. Then beyond that, maybe it's also an opportunity for us to discuss the previous MOUs that have been signed and what has been done about them. So in the past, we've seen the president travel to, I think he went to France, he's been to the Middle East, and he's come out saying that, they're going to invest. But we haven't quite seen yet. Maybe it's all bubbling under, and very soon we begin to see the benefits of these trips. But one other thing I'd like to mention is that as chair of ECOWAS Authorities of Heads of State, he's going to be addressing the Forum on China-African Cooperation, and other African leaders will be there. The big question again is, why do they keep taking African leaders to these countries when they want to talk about a cooperation or an alliance with Africa? When are we going to host these kinds of summits where, the West, whether it's the US, the UK, France, or they come to Africa. Yes. So it's still that, it's not balanced in terms of our standing. I can understand that there's a lot for us to gain from this partnership, but we must still, as sovereigns, still stand our ground when it comes to things like this. I look forward to that happening very soon.
In answering your question, it can't be balanced as long as you have this kind of leaders you have on the African continent. Leaders that only think of themselves and what they want to eat and how to divide the people, and the attenuism, it can never be balanced. Because when you check back in the 70s, what was the economic prospect of China compared to Nigeria? Nigeria was doing quite well. But all of a sudden, because China had leaders that were ready to advance, the likes of Deng Xiaoping, apart from even Chairman Mao, Deng Xiaoping did a lot of work at opening up China to the world, because with all the policies of Chairman Mao, China retrogressed. But since then, you have calculated attempts by leaders to be able to make China a beacon of hope to the world. And guess what? How they did it? They believed and invested in the people and they brought people out of poverty. You have leaders that are destroying Africa here. So it can never be balanced. And that's why once China has hit this admirable heights, then we will always go and queue after them. Because check across everywhere. They are owing us debt. We're owing them debt for infrastructure. Most African countries owing us debt for infrastructure. China has been able to support state capitalism. So if we want to turn the table in such a way that people too will be coming to Nigeria for trade partnerships, we need to start by encouraging state capitalism. And today I would like to put an advice for as an advice. President Tinubu, have a national amnesty for every thief in Nigeria, economic thief, those that have stolen from governments in any regard. Rather than them putting the money in soak-away tanks and all of that, bring all of those monies out to a particular port. I use it to support selected businesses so that you can build the next Nigeria top unicorn businesses around the world. That's how you foster state capitalism. We're talking about BYD today. It's because China gave over 200 billion in subsidies to all Chinese electric car companies. That's why they are doing well. Apart from the other things we are going there to do, yes, talk about trade, talk about this, talk about that. The question I'd like to ask President Tinubu is this. Hope all of this thing will materialize. The other day we went to Saudi Arabia. We have not seen it materialize. And the next thing, when will Nigerian products be sold to Chinese? When are we going to have Nigerian technology to be sold to Chinese? It's not that we don't have technology here. There are young people developing apps and the likes here. Where will Nigerian manufactured products also be sold to Chinese? Why will Nigerian tech products be sold to China?
All right, then.
I think that's the most important
thing. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this story.
I mean, I get the point about balance. China is a big market. It has over, 1 billion people, 1.3 billion people plus. So it's a big market. So Nigeria, should be interested in the balance of trade relations, balance of trade payments and all that. But China, apart from being a big market, Nigeria has a very good relationship with China. They talk about the Angola model, they talk about the Unam model, which one of my friends, Benga Shonobi, likes to recommend every time I talk about China-Nigeria relations. So there are opportunities there. And President Tinubu is going to sign a number of memoranda on issues, agriculture, digital innovation, and all of that. What is important, where the fault line is, I keep repeating it, is that African leaders, they don't do enough of, rigor in terms of the agreements that they reach with the Chinese. And that's why countries like Djibouti, like Kenya, like Zanzibar, Zambia have issues with the Chinese. And that is why we have the issues also, if I may say so, although that's not a comment I want to comment on further. In Ogun State, about contractual agreement with, what's the name of that company? Songfunsan, whatever the name is. So we need to do due diligence. Number two is that the MOUs that we sign, whether it's railway in Ibadan or elsewhere, we need to follow up. That is also important. Number three is the point made by Ayo, that look, African leaders are always enthusiastic. When they invite them to Paris, they are going. French-Africa cooperation talks. When they invite them to China, FOCAC, they say, oh, they are going to FOCAC. Those people too should come here. Yeah. We shouldn't, our leaders, 54 of them, are going to China. When will China come and hold FOCAC, which is beginning on September 1, here in Africa? So there should be mutual benefit in terms of all of this, not China being the superior part. But of course, that this will not be something that is of interest to the West. So China is entering Africa, Japan is entering Africa. Yes. Diplomacy can solve the gray areas. Definitely. The more important part is, intelligence and, diligence.
Very salient.